Club Lightbath Creative Mentorship Q&A, Episode 3. We just keep going. It's great. Oh man, I am working on some stuff right now. This episode has caught me in the midst of preparing for a show. Or wait a minute. Wasn't another one of these episodes in the midst of preparing for a show? Am I always preparing for shows? I think that's actually what it is. But this Friday, I'm playing in Brooklyn, Primitive event. I'm opening for these DJs. There's like 3 DJs playing 2-hour sets after me until the early wee hours of the morning. I'm starting with a live set at 9 p.m. There was a little bit of talk on the Discord today in the Club Lightbath Discord zones of sort of that feeling of like, uh-oh, it's coming up. I'm like, can I do it? Am I going to be able to, can I do this? You know? And yeah, you know what I did this morning? During my practice, after yoga, during my meditative practice, I've started doing some breath work based off of this video I saw recently of this total like Venice Beach dude. It's great. I like his vibe. And afterwards, or during, I was like, oh, I get it. I was in this like sick feeling. Not sick, like, you know, but just like not well, not joy. And I started drumming on my chest. My heart needed to open. And I just started drumming on my chest and breathing. I was like, yeah, here we go, here we go. You know, and I started feeling that joy, and it's like, okay, now I'm doing it right. Here's the way to get it. This is the primary focus of life. So when I was feeling myself thinking about what's coming up and how I didn't practice, I didn't work on this the entire weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I didn't work on it at all. And that was a challenge for me to have this gig coming up and not be like muscling through and just like, gonna get this. And so I said, yeah, I'm gonna take a self-care weekend. Once I took care of some of that stuff and especially took care of this today, I opened up and I just felt better. You know, and so then I read some of the conversation that's been happening on the wellness channel in the Club Lightbath Discord about having a time constraint, having a purpose, and wanting to accomplish. And how when those things aren't there, it's like freedom and it's expression and it just flows and it happens. But when you have those, it's kind of like, how do you even do it? One of the members was feverishly prepping for a show. There's excitement and there's fear. And there's motivation that could be from fear or excitement, and both, usually. I kind of shared a bit of my recipe for how I'm dealing with that, but I shared more the technical approach of what I'm planning on doing with this. I'm just gonna quiet it down just a little bit more. All right. So we have some nice questions. Do you have a process for learning to use a new module? What I aim to do is open the manual, read it cover to cover, and then understand it all and start using it creatively. But that doesn't happen, it never happens. So in general, my structure is aimed at starting with the manual. And I read until something hits me where I'm like, oh, I gotta try that. And then inevitably, I try that thing. And this isn't part of the plan. This is just what happens, and I go with it. I start playing with that idea, and that idea often creates a piece, like something happens, and then I'm in the zone making music. When I'm in the manual, I'm learning, like I'm not playing. I'm reading, I'm trying to understand. I'm just going through it, and sometimes I'll take notes. Often I'll make an outline because I love outlines. These are the notes that I took when I started learning Renee last fall. I was just going through the manual and trying to make sense out of it because I don't know about you, but Make Noise manuals kind of confuse me. And so that's why I make cheat sheets and then this kind of stuff. I have a Morphogene cheat sheet and especially a Tempe cheat sheet. So I went through the manual and I just started making an outline, and that helps me organize what's really going on. What's the last thing that I can focus on, that last one thing that I can focus on to get ready for this show? And I thought about what my weaknesses are currently in this case. What do I not have a handle on? Often when I'm improvising, I feel the desire to like bring it somewhere and get it like cooking. And I've not been able to figure out how to do that with this stuff. And I've realized today it's about this combination of these layers of time. And if I can get a better handle on just at least one combination, then I'll know roughly the conceptual approach. Why don't I see if I can find a time relationship between the clock that is going in Renee and the clock that is going in Magneto to see if it locks into a groove. Let's just try it. Let's just see what happens. Okay, that's pretty cool. I just changed it to a divided by 2 on the delay. So because of the point, was it 0.6 or 0.3? Because of the 0.3 with the even number, it's creating a subdivision of this. Now I'm curious which head, 2 or 4, is doing it, or both. So I'm going to remove them both. Okay, let's look at the 4. That's the one. And then with a little bit of the 2, fills it out. That's cool. I'm gonna make the tone a little bitier to make it easier to hear. That's where I feel the one. Let's try the offset. Like, isn't that brilliant? Like, look what just freaking happened. I had a sequence, and I'm not limited to just that. I'm not confined to that single sequence. I can transpose that freaking thing. Goes a long way. The ear is now in like a new zone. If I turn it again, it's gonna start equalizing. It's all gonna sound the same. I'm gonna let it sit in this new place. Sometimes it's nice to then just turn some of the knobs to literally change the sequence. I'm really discovering it now. And I do think it's better to discover things in advance, because you're inevitably going to discover something in a performance if you just throw yourself out on the edge and then step off of it, like we talked about in episode 2, the invisible crystal path. You step out and you trust that it's there, and then it meets your foot, you know? But if you can build up some of these moves, some of this catalog of like potentials, then there's more of a chance of the path being there under your foot than just completely not practicing at all and just going out and just doing it, you know? Let's add the new voice. Let's transpose it up. It might stick out a little better. Woo! Let's listen to just that for a second. With the delay, that's just brilliant. Right here's without the delay. Right? So this is my approach to making melody. I mean, I'm giving away this is the stuff here, okay? Nobody shares this stuff. I don't know if you've noticed, but I could be like shooting myself in the foot right now. But like, I don't know, it's helpful to understand like how somebody does something. I just hope that you all like internalize this and allow it to express your own light, your own joy. So that's my process of abstracting simple material and making it into something more. I didn't write that melody. I could write it. I have the facility to write a melody like that. But it doesn't come to me in the same way. It doesn't appear in my awareness in the same way. When I have a simple melody that then gets made more beautiful by a delay, it's a surprise. And I'm more inspired by it in the moment. I'm just like, oh, that's freaking great. And then I get all like teary a little bit, and I just get so like grateful to be making this thing right now and to be creating this and for people to be hearing it. Like, this is the feeling in performance. I'm so grateful that like the machine came back to me with like something awesome. And I'm just like, yes, this feels great. And then I ride that energy. This is almost like A section, B section sort of thing, right? Like, I think structurally like that in music a lot, like just A, B. Like, it's the James Brown thing, like bridge, take it to the bridge. Like, you have your one main thing that's your main thing, and then just have another thing that is your yin and your yang again, your polarities. That's hard. I don't feel that in it. I was trying to keep the old time with the new time. It's almost like, let's talk about that. How would I transition? How would I get between these? I don't know. So let's say this is going. Here's an idea. Let me see if it works. Pull out the control. Pull out the enveloping. This is like my like lead solo sort of configuration, move, trick, you know? So what did I do? I took away the envelope, and the notes are still changing at the pace that they would be changing, but it's not biting it with the envelope, so it's not as obvious. It's a smoother legato thing, everything's sustained. And I'm bringing in gestural volume controls as I'm changing the offset knob to do solo stuff. There's some foreshadowing of what's to come. And I then lower the volume of the wide channel so that it's not going to compete quite as much, but it's still in there. Make more of those gestures. And then, boom, now it's in. And then I can increase the like amplitude of the envelopes, you know, or keep it down a little bit. And this is why I like Vactrols. This is why I like low pass gates. When it's open, Not only is it more amplitude, it's brighter. When it's closed, more. It's softer in 2 dimensions. It's softer tonally and softer amplitudinally. The practice of doing these things, for me, is integrated into the whole thing. So you're asking, how can I balance the need to learn with the need to create? I'm going to sneeze in a second here, I think. And deepen my faith in a path that can feel so crushingly lonely and disjointed in the absence of structured metrics of progress. Whew. Oh, I feel you, man. I feel you. Yeah. First. Get that heart. Do your own energetic CPR. Do what I did earlier today. Get that joy coming first. Raise that joy. Get centered there first before you try any of the details, right? But my way of finding this is all intertwined in the feeling of play. I'm just playing. You saw it. I've been here the whole time. I'm figuring things out. I'm not in like, oh, I'm going to create music right now. I'm not like making those kind of boundaries. But I do make those boundaries. When it comes time to just play, I do find it important to ritualize it, creating some sacred space, putting a boundary over the mundane, between the mundane and this is special. This is, I'm doing something important now, kind of a thing. Because like, oh, listen to that. The bass was out for a while and then so nice. Okay, so when you do that, you're laying the groundwork for the muse, for the inspiration to emerge. And for me, incense does a lot. Smell does a lot. Florida water works really well. Any smells that have been used in a ceremonial context where I associate them with some sort of transcendent experience. If I've had a profound experience where those smells are in the room, then I can access those feelings easier by smelling them again. So that's what ritual is to me. But now to get back to this, balancing the need to learn with the need to create. So this is all intertwined, right? I have the intention right now. I didn't do a ritual out of it. I didn't know, other than my practice earlier, to get my day going. That ritual, it's very important to me. I didn't do a ritual right here before this. I just jumped into it. I was excited to do it, and I just sat down, hit record, and went. So I got into it, and I explored an idea. Let me see what that idea is gonna do. Same kind of thing with process for learning a new module. That's what got me started on this. What do? I read the manual, and eventually the manual inspires me to try something. And I try it. And then the doing of that thing inspires music to happen. It's fluid. I'm just allowing myself to move from thing to thing. And I think the difficulty is when one tries to track their progress in a structured way. I don't keep metrics of my progress because I would just be disappointed all the time, because that's the type of personality I am. The feeling of not being able to learn everything you want. Yeah, and that's one of my main drives to just keep going. And I think to an extent, maybe that's healthy, to have drive, but not if it depresses you, not if it brings you down. That's when one needs to back off and focus on what is really important. And I think that is, how do you feel right now? How does this feel? Is it like this? Is it sick? And if it's that, throw everything else away. Forget everything for a moment. Get the heart working. Then those things of not being able to do everything, they don't have as much weight. They won't tear you completely down.